Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scouser's morning coffee or tea with American Scouser on a Monday morning. And yes, he's out in all his glory, not even by contract anymore. He's over here because we need him. Grumpy is in the house. Yet another miserable weekend. I don't know what I'm more miserable about, the scores, the play, the freaking the response from fans, what I see online, it's just been hell. But Polish Prince is here to make everything better, even though your subtitle says pain. I just
Yeah,
noticed.
I'm only here by contract. I don't want to do this anymore. I hate this, you guys. This is just getting worse and worse. But no, jokes aside, some pain aside, still pain there. Overall weekend, not the best, not the worst. I saw Weapons yesterday. That was a pretty great and fun film to watch.
Okay,
So
for the record here, okay, because Angie watches this, can you let the audience know that it's not really necessarily a horror movie and she should be able to watch it?
yeah, I think the problem with it for some people was that when it was being shown around, when the trailers were being shown, when it was talked up about, they were really pitching it as a horror, as this thriller. It is more of a mystery, I'd say. And
Free.
Angie, there are a couple moments
Okay,
where
let's tone back on that shit. Okay.
where it's laugh out loud funny. That's where I was going with that. It is
Oh, there
it
we
is
go. Okay, thank
actually
you.
just like, if you guys haven't seen Barbarian by Krager as well, it's very much like Barbarian in the sense that there were just absolutely these obscene moments that make you laugh out loud. And then there's other moments that make you go, what the fuck? And it was pretty great.
So okay, because she does not do horror movies, so it's very hard to convince her, and it's not really a lot of fun to watch horror movies by yourself, middle of the nights, which is when I
You
usually watch my stuff. So
you can tell Angie that Michelle is not a horror movie person either, and she was fine. Outside of the one time we paused it, she had to go to the bathroom and she needed me to go with her, and then me and the dog ended up going with her. Outside of that, she was okay, and she didn't have nightmares this morning. She said she woke up with no nightmares, so she knows that that's a good sign.
okay, that's the that thing I think Angel thinks she's gonna get, like, not
Yeah,
she thinks, she does get like nightmares and stuff like that. She didn't go to it with me though. You would think this is a lot, and I was actually trying to convince her to go to Black Phone 2, which I didn't even like the trailer personally, to be honest with you. I thought the first movie was good, but horror sequels are never good, kind of like Liverpool games, but which have been horror sequels themselves.
it's yeah. I don't know. Good. That's it.
Ryan says it's not a horror movie, so who done it with comedy? Which, I'm all for.
It's like
Because
Knives Out.
yes, that's good. So I can. This should be great. I'm gonna clip this and show it to Angie. She's already watching, probably. Like, she'll watch later on today or whatever. But good, because now we can watch it. Because I really wanted to watch it because Jasmine said it was great, but never got around to it. And I was like, hey, like, we should watch this. And she was like, good luck with that. And so good. Okay, this is good. Maybe next phase I can take her to Black Phone 2 or something like that. But speaking of horror movies, yet another horror movie this weekend, and got to watch it live. You know what? In the future, if you want, I can just send you a message and be like, you know what? Save yourself. Knives
Um,
Out.
well, okay, that was a comment because Ryan had said it's a whodunit with comedy, which is what Knives Out is. The
Correct.
movie Knives Out is a whodunit with comedy. And as I don't think I didn't see the second one, but Night of the Living Kanate, yeah, that's
We should do, actually, you know what? This is a great project. We should come up with movie names for this starting 11 at the moment. We'll put a one for slot 2 because it has been a tough watch, man. But yeah, I was gonna tell you, because you work Saturdays, so the late games especially you don't get to watch. You
yeah.
watch when you come home. We should have like a safe word for you where I just say, hey,
But then it spoils the whole thing. Michelle knows the only time she can ever tell me anything, and this has never happened because Liverpool has scored every single. I tell her if it ends 0-0, just tell me because as exciting as it could be, I don't want to sit there for 90 minutes, 100 minutes maybe, and just have a 0-0 at the end. If it's anything outside of that, don't tell me, even if it's a loss.
You know what the problem with that is? There's a lot of reverse psychology going on when you do that, where like I don't know about like Michelle, because Michelle probably knows the score, right? Like Angie's got the score. So when you come home, now you're trying to decipher your wife, and then there's a lot of it's like a penalty, like you're like, she's gonna think I'm gonna go to that corner, but maybe she's doing that on purpose, kind of a thing. So you're like, are you really happy? Are you not happy? Should I be watching it, not watching it? So it's more drama. That's more drama than the game itself. It feels like.
I got an extra kiss or two when I came home from work, and immediately I looked at her and I went, "It's not a good result, is it?" She's like, "What are you talking about?" I just knew it. Yeah, so I do try and read her a bit more.
Sydney is in the house. Good morning, sir. Well, good afternoon to you. 1959. Damn, I think so too. I mean, first of all, can we talk about this? I'm glad Sydney is on the positive note, because not that I'm saying like, oh, we're gonna bounce back like tomorrow or whatever, but the over the top slots out. Some dude is bringing Stevie G back as manager. Some dudes are bringing Klopp as manager, as if they did not watch the goddamn interview, aside from a goddamn freaking clip where he clearly said no time soon that he's going to be like going back into management. So watch the goddamn interview. If you're going to freaking make a case, don't be freaking lazy and sit down and watch the whole thing for, even though I know it is 2.5 hours, but watch it to learn and to understand that he will not be coming back anytime soon into management. So forget that one. Stevie G, I just laughed when I saw that one. So can we kind of get rid of, dude, I talked about this last week, that it's becoming like we're becoming Arsenal fans over here. It's just freaking like, can we calm the hell down? Is this because we're not used to so much back to back to back misery?
Yeah, I think that outside of that stretch under Klopp, what was it, in 21, we lost, was it 6 or 7 in a row at Anfield? I think there was that stretch there that was really bad. Obviously, we didn't have center backs then, and we were playing Henderson, Fabinho, Reece Williams, Nat Phillips, anyone who could put on a jersey to fill the center back role.
Can we, for the record, though, say that we had the last couple of names you listed who are center backs. We had those guys in the squad. It was Klopp who was playing midfield in defense.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? I love this scorched earth of Timucin right now. I want this to be your persona now as you go forward, as you just go full scorched earth on everyone. And I love it. I love to see it.
It will go full scorched earth, because it really pisses me off, like how people, and then these are the same jackasses who in June will bitch about players' loyalty, whereas in 2-3 week periods they're selling half the squad already and rehashing it, almost as if the main problem is not the fact that we have a whole new freaking team.
Yeah, you've said it. I've said it. We both said it. I mean, we're Americans, so no one listens to us. Funny enough, if you were to put an English accent on most of the stuff we say when we put out in our shorts, there wouldn't be an issue with it. But as soon as there's an American accent on what we say, all of a sudden it's like, what do you know, Yank? Stick to what you know. And it's like, yeah, if this was under your accent, you would be agreeing with what I'm saying right now, but whatever. Anyway, a lot of people also like to flip the script, so to speak, and always seem like the smartest person in every situation, where 1 month they will be saying XYZ, and then in 3 months' time, they will be saying complete opposite, but try and gaslight you into thinking that they've always said this. And there have been, I mean, I'm just peculiar, or I'm speculative of it because I see stuff like that in the Discord, only because I see what people post before. I don't think people realize your post history stays up. So yeah, I can see that you said that Kirkez was a world-class player and we should bring him in 6 months ago. And for you to say and sit here that Kirkez is the absolute shit and he shouldn't be at this club now is ridiculous. But overall, the players that left wanted to go. At the end of the day, this is what we have to remember. What some of these fans have to remember. Kelleher wanted to be in a team where he was the first name on the team sheet week in, week out. He was not going to get that here. He wanted to go. Luis Diaz wanted to go. Harvey Elliott probably based on what we might be thinking happened between him and Mo, Harvey probably wanted to go, and he wanted to go play somewhere. Unfortunately, he was sent somewhere that doesn't want to play him either right now, which is it's actually really unfortunate for his career. But the players that left and that were sold, they wanted to go. It's not like they were forced to go. And then you have these new players that you're trying to bet in, and it's difficult because you want to give them the time, and we're always going to go back to the money argument, and this amount of money was spent. And I do understand that at a certain point, there is something that needs to be done if that amount of money doesn't provide you. It's a business, right? There has to be an ROI on it, and I get it if they're not performing. But we're in this weird flux where we have players from the old guard that were here that were used to doing it some way, players of the new guard coming in that were told that we're going to do it a certain way.
Yep.
But what Slot's been doing is he's been trying to do it a little bit of the old way with the new players and a little bit of the new way with the old players, and all of this isn't meshing well right now.
Yes, that's what I've also actually, because I think the problem of like people changing half the squads 30 minutes into the game, every freaking game, mind you, you wanted this guy in last week, now you want this guy in, that is the exact problem, that the constant change of the starting 11 and how we're playing and stuff like that. I really think that's like the problem. Football Flashback says he finally won a bet this week, so I'm assuming you said we're not going to have a clean sheet since this. I did actually win a couple of football bets yesterday, so yeah, not all bad this weekend, but nothing major. I don't bet a lot anyway. It's just more for shits and giggles and getting annoyed when the parlay is destroyed by one team over here. Bob has given up. Bob, come on, man. Shouldn't it not? I mean, that's the thing. The same people who say that is also that you better not be telling me Stevie G after this, Bob, because you will get me going. Because I just don't understand. And there was some voice of sanity over there, Sydney again. That's, you know, I do think. Oh, actually, it was Steven. I'm sorry. That's there's no way Liverpool Football Club changes managers now, because that's not how we operate. And I understand people saying, I understand that aspect of it, right? Like people saying, like, what, when though? When do we make a change and stuff? Almost like we're waiting to make a change. Like, when do we make a change though? We're waiting over here. I honestly think the only thing I can see is, I think we talked about this last week, where we have a tough go now, like Villa, City, Real Madrid, and stuff like that. But then when we come back from the next international break, the fixture does become, on paper, let's say, easier. Like that's like Champions League games, you know, you have PSV at home and stuff, and then you also have like, you know, Wolves and all that kind of stuff. The league becomes, on paper, like I said, like easier games and stuff. So I think then if these are still going on, then the conversation might begin. I just don't think, you know, if you're going to bring anybody to this, it's going to be somebody experienced. Probably then that's going to make Bob happy. It's not going to be, but that's not the FSG way either. But then again, this summer wasn't the FSG way. So maybe that's next, paying a lot for a manager.
And do these Steven Gerrard fans know what he did at Villa and how he cost Liverpool a title by letting City scrape back?
Shit. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I was more about how he lost the locker room at freaking Villa, who does not have as many big names and egos as Liverpool has. So how is he going to? And I hate, like, I know, like, you know, we romanticize these things and stuff like that, and we had a few good examples of ex-players like being managers, like, you know, Kenny and stuff like that. But man, like, I hate that, just because one, people can differentiate their managerial career from their, you know, playing career when we're like evaluating them. And dude, the majority of the time, this stuff does not translate, like being really good and stuff. And all this about, I mean, I guess this is like freaking flashbacks, and we totally changed roles with Edip now, because I feel like, you know, we get the same thing with, like, you know, like Fenerbahce. When we talk about that, people saying like some of these players have to tell them about Fenerbahce and stuff. It's not a matter of like telling them, like, it's not like these guys don't want to win or they don't get it and stuff like that. It's just a matter of putting it together. The quality is obviously out there. So I'll ask you, what is the main thing to fix? Like, if I told you, hey, you got one thing to fix, what is the one thing that you fix?
The one thing that you fix right now. Well, I was going to jokingly say start playing the ball back to Mamardashvili on his left foot instead of his right foot, that could be a help for starters. You have the best center back in the world who still can't pass the ball back to his own keeper on his preferred foot. Like, I get it. Ali's right-footed. Kelleher was two-footed. But Mamardashvili's left-footed. Just give it to his left foot. It's that simple. I don't understand why it's so difficult.
They're working on it, man. He's getting better and better, though, to be fair. He just keeps having to hoof it with that one. So this is a good point, too, by the way, that, it is becoming a set piece thing. But, man, it's a team with size. I don't get it.
Yeah, how do you not win a set piece when the players you've brought in, on top of who you've already had, they look like giants on the pitch? You have Konate, Van Dijk, Ekitike, Isak when he's fit in, right? Those are four guys that are 6'3", 6'4", big guys. And you have Mamardashvili, who's a big guy as well. He doesn't necessarily play as big as he looks, unfortunately. Yeah. But that's another thing too, is I'm just so annoyed by how quickly some of these fans turn on this keeper who has literally had 3 weeks here to try and prove himself while everything else is in turmoil. And the big difference between him and Ali is that he's not Ali. We're so used to Allison doing the things that Allison does. We have to remember that Mamardashvili is not Allison. He cannot command the 1v1s as well as Ali does yet, right? And that's the stuff that we have to remember, is that he's still young. A lot of these players, especially Wirtz, Kirkes, Frimpong, Ekitike, they're all under 23 years old. These are all young guys. How many years did we want to give Nunez? Because he was young, because he was learning the language, because this and that. But all of a sudden, you throw a price tag on one of these guys, not to mention not a big price tag for someone like Frimpong, who unfortunately is hurt. Not a gigantic price tag for Kirkes, who was voted by his peers as the best left back in the league last year. You have to give these guys time. And to answer your question about the one thing I would fix, I would start in the midfield and just get a good sense of how we can play from the midfield and not over the midfield. Because right now I feel like everything's going between the two center backs and then being pushed over the midfield to the front three, rather than trying to play through the midfield. When you have some of the most creative, you have arguably one of the most creative midfielders on the ball in Florian Wirtz. You have Szoboszlai, who can be very creative on the ball as well, who is the biggest engine on the team. Feels like one of the few guys who's not doing anything wrong at the moment. Yeah. And it's frustrating because it just feels like we're trying to lull the defense into coming up and just playing a ball over the top when we don't have those kinds of guys right now. Mo has lost his pace. Gakpo's not that kind of guy. Ekitike could be that kind of guy, but you'd rather have him come and play within himself and play with the ball at his feet, not have to chase the ball. So it just seems like the big change is just playing to the strengths of the players that you have and not a system that you think should work.
That's fair. I was talking about it this weekend. Like, I want like a Wirtz cam, because I feel like when he gets the ball and looks up, the only guy who's actually moving is Ekitike. Like, Gakpo's on the left waiting, like the other guy's on the right waiting. Everybody's like waiting. This is why I sometimes hate having, this creative player stuff, because we used to do the same thing with Coutinho back in the day. Like, giving the ball and you're like, well, do something with it, kind of a deal. And nobody's freaking moving. And that's why, if you notice, a lot of those passes do go to Ekitike, because he's the only guy who's actually moving into like open areas, creating space himself and all that. But Catherine, good morning. Shit games have one positive for this all-time Scouser. I get a lot of exercise. You know what? The exercise is good. Yes. Me and the dogs, we kind of like go around in circles. That's just too getting old and tired for this, so he just sits on the couch, but then Leo constantly moves around. But more than that, I get a lot more done, because after the game, I want nothing to do with the sport at all. And, like normally after a win, I would maybe watch the post-match chats with you guys on Discord, like our American Scouser fan channel. If you're on Discord, hop on that. Or maybe don't, because trust me, it can get really toxic on match days. But yeah, like this weekend, I was like, nope, I'm out of that. I gotta go. So I get more stuff done around the house or in the office over here and stuff like that. So there's always that. Set pieces. Okay, we'll talk about that. Going back to what you were saying though, it just feels like there's a lot of everybody is trying to find where is Gomez when you need him, where everybody could blame the same guy for everything, or Lovren or something like that. It feels like there's a lot of different finger pointing to different like players. Like it's all this guy's fault. It's all that guy's fault. I mean, Kirkes, look, the goal defending was pretty bad. He should be more alert to that. But that has happened. Let's not pretend that Robertson does not have defensive errors in him or anything like that.
Chelsea,
right? Yes.
Literally.
There you go. Exactly. So that's but I think there was one point in Discord somebody said, "Oh, he's running around like a headless chicken and stuff." Yeah, because Gakpo is nowhere to be found. There was one spot, there's like 30 seconds on the left-hand side. Is Kirkes and I think it's Jones, like helping from midfield. Two of them running back and forth, like playing like basically like to keep away by Brentford guys, because there was 3 or 4 of them on that right-hand side wing. And Gakpo nowhere inside. So I really do think if he had a guy like, and I'm not like trying to finger point at Gakpo too, but my point is when you finger point to Kirkes, you got to look at the situation he's in, because he's not getting any help from Gakpo defensively most of the time. He's nowhere to be found. And what was up with every time we get the ball, I felt like it was my shitty indoor team that I used to play on, where everybody starts running forward. Dude, we don't even have the ball yet. Like somebody touched the ball. We don't even have possession yet. And everybody's like running forward. It's like, wait. And then we keep losing the ball. We kept losing. I guess that's like the biggest disappointment to me is we lose so many duels. Like we get out there. You can have all the freaking talent and stuff in the world, which we do, but it feels like, and that's probably the most disappointing part to me, is the effort is not there. Those times where we touch the ball and everybody's taken off, we would normally get the ball, but no, we get hustled and muscled off of the ball, and then we just sent 5 guys forward. Now we're outnumbered in the back. I mean, it feels like physicality, efforts. Like, what is it that we're losing all these second balls if you haven't already lost the first ball?
Yeah, it's sorry. It's one of those things where,
come on, man. Oh God, go ahead.
Where we always go back, and we've said this on not every single Monday, but we talk about it a lot. It's just effort, and you can lose games. You're allowed to lose games, right? I think part of the problem too with the fan base, maybe part of the newer fan base, is that they're not used to losing as many games. But it does happen, right? This isn't a video game, and you can lose games, but you want to be outplayed. You don't want to be out hustled. You don't want to be out bullied. Like you want to be beat well. You don't want to be beat because you weren't putting in that extra effort. You weren't putting in the mental side. You weren't putting in what you needed to put in. And for the last, I don't know, maybe it goes all the way back to the season opener. It feels like no one is hungry enough to win that 50-50, right? And sometimes the problem is, like the one time Stobo goes in to win the 50-50, he gets yellow carded, even though he completely kicks the ball through someone and doesn't actually hit the player. I think that was that Chelsea? I don't remember. It probably was Chelsea, because I feel like it was either Cucurella or Neto that just fell to the ground every single time. So it probably was Chelsea. So you have those moments that are really frustrating, because you think, like, what am I supposed to do if I can't even go through it and win that ball? But overall, because then you can also, on, I guess, devil's advocate, then you have moments and guys like Connor Bradley who kind of go too rash into tackles and try to do it too much. And so there has to be a good balance to it. But right now, there is no balance. It just seems like we're going to rely on the fact that this team has that champion pedigree. This team has the history of coming back, and it's just going to happen. I feel like that's what's in the player's mind sometimes. It's going to happen, and it's not happening. You have to put in that extra effort.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it. That's a good point, actually. It's just like more like used to it. I feel like we keep changing. I mean, you could see when he came on, and I know he's not in the best form himself, but I think you have to still play certain players regardless of And McAllister is one of them, for example. McAllister
What
has to
happened
be
to
on that midfield.
McAllister?
He has to be on that midfield, though. Like, you can kind of tell the moment he's there, the calm is there. And yes, he misplaces passes. He has not been in great form this year. I'm not saying he's played great, but regardless of playing great or not, he has a presence to him in that midfield where he controls the pace. He controls how we do things. He's not just running because somebody touched the ball over there. He's doing safety first and stuff, right? Like Szoboszlai, he might misplace a pass and stuff like that, but you need him in there because you need that energy. You need that running. You need that defensive work. There are some players I think you have to deal with their form regardless because they bring so much other stuff to the game. I felt like McAllister is that guy, and I know everybody wanted. And honestly, it goes back to this, and I'm not like trying to pick on him. Maybe Saidu's theory of putting him on the left or putting him somewhere else as a false nine or whatever is the answer. But we are trying to put Wirtz out there to, and it's not like he played poorly or anything either. Like I say, I just need a Wirtz cam to show that when he has the ball, nobody is moving in front of him to do anything with. But it's like we're messing with the midfields that I know we're conceding set piece goals, but I think Ba was saying it that only for the first goal was a set piece. The other one is a counter that, you know, we should easily stop. One, Konate sleeps. Two, nobody in midfield should be able to just put their head up and like pick a pass because I don't care who's in your back line. At this level, if somebody can put their head up, they're going to go through that line because forwards are smart enough to time their run. The passers are good enough to make that pass. So I think we're changing too much. Oh, this is not working. Then play this guy. Well, why don't we play this guy? Some guy is like, Rio is the answer. How the fuck is Rio's the answer? Where, you know, you've seen him like literally a total of 90 minutes.
He's going to be the left back. That's the answer. He's gonna be trying to out dribble people from our own box to the opposing box.
Ryan says, and that's probably the hardest. Yeah, it is the hard pill to swallow. Is watching this team being outworked.
There's no fight.
We're not used to seeing that. And is that on the manager? Is that on the captain? Somebody was already getting rid of. I mean, I think it was Alan saying, change the captaincy. Sometimes we say things, and I understand what Alan is talking about. But first of all, a month ago, we were praising his captaincy when we were getting these last-minute winners about keeping the team calm and stuff. So the moment things go around, it's not always on the captain. But I feel like we have to think of the next step. It's easy to say, like, it doesn't work like this. This is not FIFA. You can't just take it from one guy and assign them to the other and not deal with the psychological and behind the scene consequences of actions. I mean, what kind of dynamic is that going to be if you just take the captaincy from Van Dijk? And who are you going to give it to? That's not going to affect the dynamics like crazy.
Yeah, and I think what we see is, I guess in my opinion, in my feelings of it, the way that Van Dijk leads on the pitch, when things are going well, it's good. It's a nice thing to see. And he kind of the way he goes about it is he's a pretty nonchalant. We kind of talked about this with Gakpo before too. Like he's a bit nonchalant, but he gets it done what he needs to get done. He kind of just he doesn't.
Dutch thing.
It's a Dutch thing, right? But the problem is when things are going poorly, that's when this style of Van Dijk leadership doesn't look so good because he's sitting there yelling at other players, sometimes for his own mistakes. And then when he's so nonchalant defending and it's not going well, you look at it and go, why couldn't you have done a little bit more? Why couldn't you step up to Caicedo? Why couldn't you step up to Mbumo? Why couldn't you not put a lazy tackle in right at the box, right? I mean, it's just like, so those little moments is for, I'm not saying to take captaincy away from it. It's just one of those things where his style of it, it looks good when you're winning, but then it looks really bad when you're losing.
Yeah, by the way, no way in hell he gives that as a penalty if he knows his side of the box. No way in hell. Because that's not any less than what Gakpo got on the other side. And no way he's giving that. He only gave that because it's outside the box. Everything you need to know about refereeing that's freaking wrong is basically making the judgment based on who is involved, where it is, and all that kind of stuff. But Josh says, although this marker brought in exceptional quality, it wasn't in the correct spots. What was the correct spot? I mean, I guess I'll ask Josh that because I felt like we didn't complain on any of these moves. You could argue maybe Iketika and Isak, because let's face it, you and I over here said, no way, they're getting Isak now. They just got Ikitike. So maybe we can argue that, but didn't everybody want a left back and Robertson gone last year?
You needed a left back because everyone turned on Robertson.
You need the right back.
You needed a right back because Trent's gone, and Bradley
center back
is not as good as we think he is. We needed a center back, which we were in for, and just couldn't get done.
Not to mention, you did get the young kid who looked decent in the 45 minutes we saw him, but he got injured, right? Correct. You needed somebody creative.
You got in Wirtz because that's what you wanted. You needed a 9. You went out and got 2.
Yep.
You technically didn't need anything else at the moment because those were your big areas of need. That's all we talked about all year, are big areas of need. Maybe you can
I know
argue,
what Josh is going to say. Josh is going to say a 6 is my guess. But this guy does not play with a 6. That's
what I was about to say. But instead, you do 2 8s, and then you think, okay, well, then you don't need a 6 when you have 2 8s because you got 2 guys that go box to box. You have Sobo on the right side that can go box to box. You could put Jones in there. I think Sobo and Jones together played really well against Brentford at moments. I think it looked really good.
Yeah.
And I think Sobo with Gravenberch as 2 8s and Wirtz ahead of him, I think that could look good too. But to Josh's point, I think maybe you could argue that having both Ekitike and Isak could have been unnecessary. I do agree. And I said that, I think, over the summer too. I was like, look, I don't like this at all. It's just too much. There's too much spending in that one position. I don't know. It is what it is at this point because he's already here. But this is where we're at. And that's all we technically needed when we're looking at our specific needs. We've been talking about needing a center back for 5 years and haven't bought one. I don't know. It's just, yeah.
Okay, see, I don't understand this. First of all, I don't freaking understand this because
why would you do that to yourself?
One was more than enough for me. I did watch like the highlights and stuff like that again, but yeah, no way in hell I'm going back to that. See, I take an offense to this though, because you can watch Verge any game, and this is what we like about him. He is calm as you like, right? He's never been,
and that's
what his strength is. He doesn't slide around and all that kind of stuff because he's in the places he has to be. He's calm, and that's how he plays. So we can't say, oh, it's so good, calm as you like, and sing the song when things are going good, and then expect him to run around like I don't understand what we expect the center back to do. So I don't agree with you, Alan, on that one. Not saying he's playing great, but I think a lot of the problems, dude, could this be the main problem now, is because the back line is all over the place, first of all, which this weekend doesn't make sense because really Kirkes was the only new person in there. If you think about it, Bradley played a lot last year because of, Trent's injury and all that. But I really do think it's because we keep getting outnumbered on the left-hand side. And it's either through the midfield, because we always focused on helping the right-hand side, right? Because Trent would be nowhere to be found, or Trent couldn't defend or whatever. So we always focused on that. Like, Gravenberch, Henderson back in the day, everybody sliding towards that right-hand side, protecting it. There's nobody protecting this left-hand side. And you have a left winger who does not like defending. And I keep going back to this. You can have one dude like Mo who you say, you know what, man, you don't have to defend. Give me the goal, stay up there and stuff like that. We'll talk about the over-the-top Mo hates in a little bit. But you can't have, and then you on the left-hand side, you don't have to defend a whole lot too. And you, the striker, you don't have to really press. I mean, Iketika does give him credits, but not Isak and stuff. I just feel like I see a Virgil who's very frustrated with what he's seeing in front of him, almost like he knows this is not going to work. He plays like a guy, he said, like, I told you guys it's not going to freaking work, and still like trying to do the cleanup. As he's cleaning the shit up, he keeps saying, like, I told you guys this wasn't going to work.
So what do they do?
What do they do?
What do they do? Yeah. What do you think? What is the next step? What do you do? Do you change formation completely? What is your best answer for this?
My best answer for that is you got to get in Gakpo's butt and say, hey, man, you're not that cool. You got to defend. Like you defend first, and then I think the whole team has to worry about defending first. We got this. I mean, we're not scoring a lot less than last year, but we're conceding a lot more than last year. So I really do think my solution more is safety first. If we're gonna get it, the set pieces, it's all about focusing and winning your duels and stuff. And we did it against Arsenal, so you can do it when you really do the focus and actually like go out there and be physical and do it. But I think defensively, going back to Bob was saying, they're not all set pieces. I know he keeps focusing on the set pieces, but they're not all set pieces. You have to freaking prioritize defending first. And I don't mind this, but I don't think you're going to cut Mo because he looks like a guy. I mean, I don't know if that goal will help him. I don't think so because it didn't look like a guy that relieved. Maybe if you come back and tie that game, it kind of helps him and propels him. I don't get to over the top Mo hate either. He's just like, it's almost like the fan base is divided in terms of which way they're pointing the fingers to. But I think that's the solution is you have to have whoever's playing on the left. And if that's Wirtz or whatever, that's fine. It doesn't look that great attacking. That's fine. Let's do the defense first. And I don't mind the diamond. I don't mind the 4-4-2 for that matter. I'll ask you, I guess, because before the game, I think, was it before this game? When the lineup came out, I think it was Kazi, like, oh, is it a 4-4-2 and stuff like that. Do you think Mo could play in a two-front system? Because I don't think he can. I don't think it suits him at all. But do you think he can play? Like, along with Isak, along with Ekitike, off of him, if you will.
Yeah, it's tough. I would say that I think he could only because what he's been able to do on the wings is not as much as he's been able to do in the past, right? It's clear that the pace that he had is not there as much. It's normal. He's a human being. He's aging, right? He's 33, 34 years old. He's not going to be fast forever. And so he can't dribble and take on players as much as he could. And while you lose some of that playmaking ability from the wings, I don't think we've been getting much of it anyway. So I think having him play a bit more centrally off of Ekitike could work. I just struggle with thinking about who else you would put there if Isak isn't fit. I think that's the other thing is if Isak isn't fit and you want to play with two in the middle, who is the other guy? Is it Chiesa? Probably not. It's probably not going to work. So it would have to be Mo. So my reasoning is based on what it would have to be, and not necessarily that's the best thing. But if Mo on the wings isn't Mo on the wings and it's not working, then maybe playing him through the center off Ekitike could be something to try. I don't know. But he's not that kind of forward, right? He's never been that kind of forward. He's not a big sizey forward. He's not a forward that you play over the top. Like into the box too. You play over the top so you chase the down the wings, but we're trying to get him away from the wing by putting him in the center. Then what's the point of doing that? So that's the only thing that I would disagree with in doing a formation like that if you include Mo, because I don't think it's a great idea. But at this point, I mean, what do you have to lose?
I mean, the problem with that is, I agree to that because even though a diamond sounds great, if you're making the starting 11 for one match, I don't think it's a long-term solution at all because you're not going to be able to like rotate with that. And I think that's basically what's my probably biggest concern with that is because where does Gakpo play on that setup, for example? Because I just told you that the dude does not come back. So
does he play in a 4-4-2?
Yeah, I mean, where is he going to play?
I guess he wouldn't. I guess you take out both of the wings, right? You take out the wingers who are somewhat ineffective as is. I think Gakpo could be even more effective if he just played that overlap pass that Kirk has every once in a while, because he doesn't make that pass and he is so predictable. Obviously, like when it works, and it works more than you would think it would work for someone who does the same thing over and over again. But if you would just make that pass to Kirkez a couple times throughout the game when Kirkez is making great runs, that's another thing is you see a lot of players making great runs. And you're talking about the Wirtz cam. Watch Wirtz in the positions he tries to pick up sometimes and the runs he makes that just get completely ignored, or maybe there's no confidence to play that ball, which is another thing. I think a lot of these players right now are lacking confidence to make that ball because they're worried about underhitting it, overhitting, whatever. When everything is going well and you feel like every touch you make is great, you make those passes without even a second thought. But when things are going poorly and you overthink everything and you're trying to do too much by yourself, that's when we're running into these problems and we're ignoring so many great runs from these players. And so in a 4-4-2, yeah, Gakpo, I don't think would be in. I think we're talking if everyone's fit, 4-4-2, this could be AFCON. I said this 2 months ago, but I was laughed at. Ekitike and Isak up front. You have Wirtz, Sobo, McAllister, Gravenberch as your 4. Maybe Jones instead of Mako or Gravenberch, depending on the fitness. And then you have your 4 in the back line.
But the problem with that is what happens midweek.
Oh,
that's great. Like if you're going out for one game, if you're United, you're playing one game a week. That's freaking excellent. You go out there, you play that. You can't play the same lineup again in 3 days and then in 3 days again. So who plays? I don't think the depth you have is not designed for that formation. So you can't rotate. Like who plays up 2 in 3 days? Because you can't play them every single game. That's the problem that I don't buy the 4-4. I buy the 4-4-2. It looks great. But I don't think your squad, like you didn't build the squad to play that 4-4-2. And going back to what you were saying, by the way, about the passes, I don't think anybody's trying the passes. For all these people saying like, oh, we're really missing Trent. I think we're just missing somebody taking the chance. Trent didn't give a fuck, and he would just he will lose it half the time. And it's very anti-slot to give away the possession and stuff. But I think nobody is trying those passes now. Like even, I mean, it could be what you're saying, could be confidence. But yeah, going back to the 4-4-2, like who would you play in like 3 days?
I only made the lineup for one game, man. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want out of me. Well, I think at a team of this level, of this caliber, there should be enough IQ and enough versatility and flexibility where you can change formations and not lose complete sight of what you're trying to do. Clearly, we haven't seen that so far this year, so maybe I am giving them too much credit in that sense. But I kind of to Bob's point, when you switch formations, you should be able to switch and still get things going. So I don't know, maybe it's one of those where it's more of the 4-4-1 or maybe like a 4-2-3-1 situation where you have then the possibility of putting Gakpo up in that 3, or you could do Wirtz up in that 3, and then you can have Ekitike behind Isak, or you do Wirtz behind Ekitike. Like it just, so yeah, it's I guess AFCON will be very telling because I think that's going to be our best look at the idea of this team post Mo, and maybe we only see it for a couple games, but that's gonna be our biggest insight of what we have to look forward to after this year or after next year.
Nobody else comes to take that chance because Trent didn't care. It just kind of went with it. Yeah, took chances away. I mean, that was the thing. I think, he tried it. I think you have a good point where, like, nobody's trying it. I highly doubt that they don't see any of these. You can see, I think Wirtz is using a lot of energy to get open, to receive the ball, trying to find a space and stuff like that. And we just keep, like, ignoring it. And I still don't understand this team and Slot's like persistence of trying to break through the middle of the defense when everybody like packs in the middle. I mean, you can see kind of like how much more we're dangerous when we do go wider, and you do have the people to go wider. So I just don't. Bob says last few years we play best during AFCON. I think part of that is, I don't know if we play better, but I think at least before, not this season as much, but we relied so much on Mo that we saw a lot of different things because Mo is not there now. So there's other movements everywhere else and we're doing different things. So I think
other teams can't prepare for that.
Yes, we became a lot more like, unpredictable for like opposing defenses because they're like, okay, they're not going to go to Mo. And I think that's part of I mean, where do you sit with Mo? I mean, look, he's pretty horrific to watch, right? When you like look at him and stuff. But I mean, now I feel like people there was a point where they were like, where's Mo going? Well, that ball was short. Like, he's not everything is his freaking fault, even though he's playing extremely poor. Bear in mind, 4 months ago, people had the pitchforks out saying, how can you not sign this guy, give him what he wants and stuff like that? And then 4 months later, the pitchforks are out to pick him up and put him on the bench. So where are you with like Mo?
Again, it's one of those things where people like to just feel like they're the smartest person in the room and they're never wrong. And it's great when you have to deal with those kinds of people who can never admit that, maybe they didn't have the best take, or that they always flip flop what their opinion is. But where I'm at with Mo, I feel like I've been critical of him a lot this year, but it's for the things that he does when he has the ball. I think the misplayed passes for me have been brutal. There have been so many moments where you've seen years before where he makes a great pass, whether it's the outside of his foot, whether it's the inside of his foot, whether he's trying to break the even, whether it's just like a simple pass back to Bradley or to Sobo. It just feels like every one of his passes, there's just no confidence in those passes. And maybe part of that is not scoring. Maybe part of that is not being as involved as he typically is, because that could also change the way that you play. Is when you have all these new players come in who are seen as this new guard that will take over this club from you. You have guys with the name profile of Wirtz, of Isak, of Ekitike, and in your head going, oh, I'm not that guy anymore, or they don't want me to be that guy anymore. And then that creeps into everything. Then that's when you start to misplay passes, when you lose your confidence. Not the fact that you mentioned that you're aging, right? So your body can't do as much as it used to. And unless you can change the way you play, you can't keep up with that. Guys, we've talked about it. Guys like Virgil can look at guys like Thiago Silva and be able to change his game and play well into his late 30s if he takes care of himself, because he's able to afford that. Guys like Mo, who relied on their pace for a good bit of their career, if you can't change your game, which is why he's been a lot more of a playmaker the last couple of years, if you can't continue adapting and evolving, there's not going to be a lot of place for you. So I think the overall hate for Mo, I think, is excessive, but I think it's fair to be critical of him enough because he has had some absolute stinkers and he just can't string a ball together. And there have been a couple of moments where you feel like, I think, what was it against? I think it was against Chelsea when the ball fell at his feet, maybe 8 yards away from the goal, and he just blasts right over. And you're just thinking, man, any other year, like there's no chance that doesn't go in the back of the net. And I think that's the, remember the balloon from last week that's deflating even more now. Every single moment that Mo has like that, you just think, fuck, I wish that was the old Mo. And it's sad because we have to move away from that eventually. And maybe this is the beginning of that, where we realize he is going to be a legend and maybe he just can't be as involved as he's always been.
I just feel like, he didn't forget. I mean, I think we're talking with like Gordo on Discord about that. Like, he didn't forget he didn't lose his touch. And I know like what Gordo was saying, like as you age, sometimes your feet don't do what your brain wants it to do and stuff like that. There's some kind of a lag as you get older. Anybody who's played the game knows as you get older and older, you'll find out soon yourself there, Matush.
More to there.
Like your hands won't do what your head wants to do, but it basically becomes like that. But I don't think that's the case for him. He's not like, we're talking like 4 months over here. I really think it's for him. I think it's just confidence more than anything else. And that's why I was like, man, if you could tie up that game, that goal goes, means a lot more and maybe like, brings him back. But I don't know how much of an effect it's going to have. It's pretty concerning, but I just feel like I just hate how we abandon players. And I'm not saying we should not be critical of him, like you're saying, because he's playing extremely poorly. But it's one thing to say, he needs to sit out for a week, or he should be like a 1 game a week player, or whatever the case might be, like his age and stuff like that. But to treat him like he can't even play this game anymore or something like that just gets to me, because these are the same people who are going to ask for loyalty from players come transfer season. So that's some freaking nerve. And then when you go around and bitch about players not being loyal to the clubs and stuff like that, and that's what probably bugs me the most. But hey, the good news is for Chiesa fans out there, I just saw today that Chiesa was on the cover of Liverpool's freaking post on social media about the game coming up against Palace. Usually that's a sign that he's going to be in the starting 11 over there. So real quick, I'm sure we'll talk about it more during the week, but do you expect a full rotation action going there, or what do you expect to see?
Oh man, it depends on who's fit.
That's another point, yeah.
And if Chiesa stays fit during training to then have that start in the 11, because that's a big thing. The last 14, 15 months now, it's always just been, hey, he's not ready. He tells the Italian manager he's not ready. So clearly, he does have fitness issues. So it's not crazy to think that he might pick up a knock during training and kind of kill his chances.
I would even put that out in the universe, man.
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised by anything. So looking towards Palace, I just want to throw up. I don't want to do the panel show tomorrow. I'm going to be honest with you. I do not. I mean, okay. For anyone who doesn't know, we do an EPL panel show on Tuesday nights. And we have fans of other clubs. Glenn, who represents Brentford. We typically have Sully, who represents Newcastle. Jake for Spurs, Jamie for Chelsea, and Io for United. Probably the main guys that come in and out.
Yeah, Io will be there. Io is usually not there, but he'll be there regularly now.
Weirdly.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, United wins 2-3 games, and Io comes out of the depths of hell. He's like, "Hey, I'm back."
I'll make time this week. Yeah.
Interesting how that works. So yeah, the best thing Brentford has going for them is that Glenn is such a nice guy. And if there's any guy that can give me shit and I will allow it, it's Glenn. Sully can go to hell, but Glenn's fine. But yeah, I'm not excited for the Palace game. It feels like they already had our number for the last couple of years, honestly. Glasner sets up well against us. They always play well against us. And the fact that we're reeling while going and playing them again, it's not a great recipe. I hope Gravenberch is back. I hope Isak is fit enough to at least make the bench. I want to say that there will be a little bit of rotation, but don't expect too much, because I don't think the guys that aren't available now, or that weren't available, if they're not available for the next match, they're not going to.
Didn't sound like it in the pre-match. Like he was more talking about this coming weekend for them to be ready. So I don't think they're going to be ready for Wednesday, to be honest. Like Gravenberch and Isak, I'm saying.
Yeah. So because then,
I mean, your option to see some rotation in that case would be some kids out there, which you probably don't want against Palace. It'd be a different story if you were playing a championship side or something.
Yeah, and we might be the championship side. Just kidding. Because then you have Villa in the weekend, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like it, and then you have Real Madrid, and then you have Man City. Like, what the fuck? What is going on? Yeah, you would expect a little bit of rotation if there are players available, but that's the big thing. Frimpong's out, Grab is out, Isak is out. Where do you get that rotation that feels like you'll actually get enough out of it to make it make sense, and you're not just putting a bunch of random pieces together so that you save everyone for Villa? Like, is that the plan? No, I don't think that should be the plan. You need 3 points out of this match as much as you need 3 points out of Villa. You can't just take it off. So yeah,
So do you just say, hey, it's a trophy, let's go for it?
Well, trophy, or I guess.
Because you got 3 points out of this game, you're only getting the next round out of this game.
Yeah, I'm in the league mode. I totally forgot this is the League Cup.
I mean, that's why I feel like, you go for it. And I almost feel like this team just needs to win out of the rut. That's why I was hoping the Frankfurt game, and then this on top of it, if we won against Brentford, would be what we needed for momentum. but clearly not. But maybe just Frankfurt just helped us. The way they played helped us be able to do stuff, and the way they defended set pieces. But
You know that meme where the guy puts a little bit of tape on that tank of water that's about to burst? Like that bursting tank was us. Frankfurt was the tape.
yeah,
It didn't do anything except then expose that tape was not good enough to hold, and now it has burst again. So yeah, my bad. I completely fudged that. I forgot that it's the League Cup. So whatever, lose it.
lose it really. I mean,
I'm kidding.
I think Chris is right. It will be there's not that many players, and I don't think he plays kids on this one. So I think he trusts him out there, which I'm okay with, because I do think this team just needs to like play out of this. And I feel like some of these players need to play out of this. I know we keep saying, like play the inform guys or try something different and stuff like that. But I think the problem is we keep trying different things and it's not working, because now this is different. Now this is different and stuff like that. So just pick a starting 11 and kind of like see if we can get it established, whatever it is. I know the injuries don't help, because obviously in that starting 11, you're definitely going to have Gravenberg and you're probably going to have Isak in some sort of fashion. So that doesn't help, but I'd rather keep those guys and then have them available for the weekend as well, ideally. And this is another thing. I don't know how much rotation Palace will have. Kevin is not here this morning in the audience to kind of give us the news. Chiesa is definitely starting, but yeah, I mean, if that's the case, unless Palace is rotating a lot, I don't see a lot happening.
That's a worrisome thing. Those four to play the way that we're playing now, and to throw those four pieces in, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't.
I'm okay with Chiesa, Rio, Ekitike up top, because I don't think it affects it as much the rest of the way. Endo and Nioni in that midfield, I'm not sure. At the same time, I'm not sure. But yeah, but I do like, yeah, I mean, let's go for it. Let's not just like think of the weekend and stuff like that, because I don't know. The league is coming to a point. It's way too early. When we were up by 5, now we're down by 7. Clearly, there can be huge swings in there. It's too early in the league. I think more than the point differential, we're not seeing anything on the pitch that's telling us, oh, yeah, this is for real kind of a deal. But maybe it will turn around. No?
It's one thing to get results and be 4 or 5 points behind the club. It's another thing to not get results and be 4 or 5 points behind the club. I think the saddest thing is the feelings that we had after beating Arsenal and being top after 5 games and feeling like, wow, this is going to be a special year, to then be here a month later or 2 months later and be so far behind. It's like 2 seasons in one that are just and I'm ready for season 3. I'm excited that this season I think it's gonna end on a cliffhanger, and I think we're gonna come out with a banger next season, and everything's gonna fall into place a bit better.
Yeah, let's hope the season 3 starts soon over here, because otherwise I might stop watching the show. Okay, well, I'll be, speaking of shows, I'll be on tonight's podcast with Gally and Bickler, 7:00 Central, 8:00 Eastern. This guy over here will be hosting the panel show tomorrow night, so do tune in for that. And then the morning show is going to be back Wednesday morning, so tune in for that as well as we get ready for the game. But have a great week, everybody. Hopefully your week is better than our form, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.